What's here, y'all? Welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, we're going to be taking a look at the late pick five for Keeneland on Saturday that does include the Lexington as well as the Jenny Wiley. So we got some significant stakes races in there. Lexington isn't going to mean as much as it normally does. I don't think anybody in that field has any Derby aspirations. They won't get enough points, that is. So anyway, we'll take a look at it. Should be some good racing. First leg is a maiden special weight at 110,000. Seventh race on the card, run at 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-olds. This is, as you might expect at Keeneland, it's a pretty tough one, pretty balanced field. Valiant Humor for Brad Cox is pretty logical with Flavian Pratt in the irons. However, it has the rail and likely will be up amongst the leaders, if not the speed. I didn't really like the way he finished his last race. It was a Retribution, did come back and ran pretty well yesterday, this being Wednesday on the Bluegrass Stakes card at Keeneland. But you never like to see a horse just sort of throw in the towel like that late. He had every chance to win the race. He was on the lead all by himself and couldn't quite finish it off. But second start for Brad Cox should be good shape. He's been freshened up a little bit, so expect a good race from Valiant Humor. Baker Hayfield, I'm throwing in the mix as one to watch, and he's probably going to be a value play. Now, y'all who follow my posts know that I love horses coming from Turfway. And this one continues to train. And you look at his work tab, he's really working lights out. They're putting the blinkers back on him. And I think he'll be potentially part of the pace picture. You would think, putting the blinkers back on. And I didn't think he ran terribly too bad at Turfway. And going route to sprint, I think, is a big plus as well. So there's a lot of positives for Baker Hayfield, and the price is right at 15-1. Probably more of a candidate for under, but I think is one you want to watch here. Zandvoort for Steve Asmussen. He's got Jose Ortiz in the irons, and that's a good sign. He connected with Extra Añejo yesterday, and his barn just seems to be going really well. This one's coming off a layoff. They're putting the blinkers on this one as well, and Lasix. And he just seems logical. The last race was pretty good. Not great, but not bad either. And he's likely to move forward. At an 8-1, you're getting a good price. Fact is a first-time starter, and looks like a good one. The tab is excellent. So we'll throw him in the mix. Don't like 4-1 at Keeneland for a first-time starter necessarily, but is one certainly to think about. I'm settling on Nantucket, number 10. Rudy Brissett is 30% second-time start, and he's got this one is coming from Turfway as well. And I like, while he did not finish off his last race, I thought it was a good effort for a debut. He probably just flattened out because the nerves up a little bit for the first race. But at the top of the stretch, he had every reason to win the race, every possibility, and he just couldn't quite finish the deal. But I think that's a good omen. And again, with Rudy Brissett's level of second-time starters, and at 8-1, you're getting a nice price. There's going to be some pace in this race, I think, without a doubt. With Baker Hayfield in particular in the mix. In fact, Big Truz as well. Bourbon Flight. Bourbon Flight will likely be in part of the mode. And Modus Bestia, which means beast mode in Latin, by the way. He's in the 12 hole, and for those of you who are interested in him, I can't do it, not from that far out for a horse who wants to be up near the lead. So there should be pace to run to, and we'll look for Nantucket to advance in his second start in the opener of the late pick five. Second leg of the pick five is an N1X allowance. Nom1 is a 2 lifetime. Eighth race on the card, running a mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. Pretty tricky race. Name primarily because the 2 chalk. They're both doing something for the first time, and that's the old Harvey Pack maxim. Never take a horse doing something for the first time. Burning Pine for Wesley Ward, you sort of have to include. He's the king of Keeneland. I've never been a big fan of Wesley Ward horses in roots. To me, the way he trains them to run these short turf sprints primarily, then they don't ever seem to stretch out quite as well. American Rascal would be a great example to me, who just looked all the rage, and then as soon as they stretched him out, it just never happened, and he looked like a logical horse to do so. But anyway, Burning Pine ran that 4.5 furlong maiden score, Wesley Ward's notorious for, and did it pretty impressively. Went to Ascot in the Albany and ran into a buzzsaw. There were a lot of really good 2-year-olds in that race, Fairy Godmother being the winner, and it was a very good race. And just kind of got swallowed up. I'm not going to hold that against her. It's just more that she's stretching out for the first time. She does have some two-turn pedigree. She is half to Neat, who is won the Transylvania at Keeneland and is a two-turn horse. So it's entirely possible. Not overly certain that Burning Pine will go to the lead, but there isn't a whole lot of speed in this race. And, I think you just sort of have to include by default. Eunomia, to me, is pretty interesting at 20-1. Vicky Oliver, who I'm not a big fan of, but she did go out and get Johnny Velasquez for this race, who broke the maiden with this one. And Tis the Laws are 29% first-time turf. And that's enough for me in a field that is, it's got some hair on it, to be honest. So Eunomia, well, I don't know if I want to include in the mix for the pick 5, is one to think about for sure, and might offer some really good value at 20-1. And again, I think there's some vulnerability in this race. Atomic City, I couldn't quite get there because she needs to get faster, but has a little bit of back class, and it looks to me like they're moving her to turf because they're trying to figure out what to do with her. And so, maybe, but I just couldn't get there. It wasn't enough for me to get excited about. Bessie Abbott's for Mark Cassie. That's enough for me. His barn is really clicking, particularly with his turf fillies, namely Nitrogen. This one hasn't run in the States yet, but the tab looks good. And, I think everything's there to indicate that this one perhaps can move forward around 2 turns. So we'll throw in Bessie Abbott. Always Forever is very logical for Brad Cox, coming from Fairgrounds. And their horses don't necessarily hold their form on the turf when they come from Fairgrounds, and I think it's because you watch that race and you see all that dirt flying or grass or whatever, and so it was pretty dried out. This is a deeper track. 1 rating, did so pretty impressively. Second off the layoff, very logical to move forward, and Manny Franco is just killing it right now. So I think Always Forever makes sense. El Yafara for Chad Brown. First time in North America, but it hasn't run in quite some time, but did win a stakes race over in France. Perhaps, the French turf is notoriously very soggy, very deep. So we'll see if she can carry her form over. But she carried 128 pounds in the win. And, whenever you see a weight like that, it does indicate that she was pretty well thought of. Chad Brown's very good taking these horses off a long layoff, so I think is very logical, and kind of by default I'm going to take Al Yafara. But this to me is a bit of a spread race because there's question marks around everybody, and Eunomia, again, just there seems to be there's enough there that I'm trying to find a price. Really was the only one that looked really solid as a value play, but might entertain throwing into the mix in the sequence for the reasons stated. But this is a wide open race, as Keeneland is known to bred. Third leg of the pick 5 is the Lexington. It's a grade 3, 9th race on the card, running a 1.16 for the 3-year-olds. And normally we would classify this as a Derby prep, but nobody in the field will probably will earn enough points. They only offer 20. If they win, they won't get in the Derby. So this is kind of more of a Preakness prep. And honestly, looking at this field, I don't want to bet on any one of these. I just did. This is just not. It's just not a good field. I mean, it's a good betting race per se, but I just don't really care for it. It's coupled with the fact that you're going to have a couple of scratches. Rolando and Touchy, the 4 and the 9 respectively, they both ran in the Lafayette on Monday, on Ashland Day at Keeneland. So I doubt they're going to come back on 5 days rest, so they're probably both going to scratch. So that leaves us a field of 7. And we'll start by talking about Praetor, which you guys know I'm a stickler for pronunciation. 8 years of Latin, it's Praetor is the correct way to pronounce it. But everybody's going to say Praetor because of Praetorian Guard. Those of you Roman history nuts will know about that. Anyway, I digress. This is a horse who's shown ability, beat Sovereignty in a maiden score, and came back to just had a one-turn mile victory pretty impressively last time. I was not wowed by it, I have to be honest. It was he really didn't beat very much, and he did it what he was supposed to do, what a good horse is supposed to do. He won it convincingly, but now he's going around 2 turns for the first time. Chad Brown has used the Lexington as a springboard for the Preakness, and there's been a lot of hullabaloo about Praetor, and I'll guess that this is probably the stepping stone for that. So what I think we can logically expect is this horse will take another step forward, and the peak will come at the Preakness. Whether it's good enough in this field remains to be seen, because there's a lot of sameness, and this is what makes this a good betting race, is that a lot of the horses run about the same speed figure. And we'll go on to Gosger or Gosger. I looked up the pronunciation. And I was told it was Gosger, but it may be Gosger. Right now, I'll say whichever one is fine. We seem to have a lot of names this year that are mangled and we can't get right, so add this one to the list. This is a horse who's coming off a good maiden score. And the interesting thing is the race rating was the same as the optional claimer that Praetor won. Gosger got the identical 120 class rating, which is very good. So they both got the same class rating, but Gosger got a 93 Brisnet figure, whereas Praetor only got an 89. So this is what I mean about this race, and they're both 1-turn miles. They're both stretching out to 2 turns. I think either one of them is going to get a mile and a 16th. I'm not worried about that, but it is interesting. Both of them are stretching out to 2 turns. And without Rolando in the race, there isn't a whole lot of, there's not a target horse to run to for Praetor or Gosger. So one of them's likely going to be on the lead. I'm going to guess it's Praetor. And he's going to have to take him all the way around 2 turns for the first time. So to me, those two kind of cancel each other out because it's really hard to pick one over the other. So then let's talk about Bullard. Now, the same reasons I haven't liked Chance and McPatrick all along, I don't like Bullard. He's a 1-turn closer. He hasn't been stretched out yet, which is a little bit of a surprise. He's had some hiccups along the way, and he has scratched out of the Rebel Stakes. So the intent has been to get him around 2 turns. And I have heard Mike McCarthy, his trainer, intimate that he can't wait to stretch this one out. Okay, and I believe him. I take his word for it. He does have the pedigree for it, but you just have to wonder when you see that 1-turn closer, it just doesn't move to 2 turns. So I toyed with the idea of putting Bullard on top in this race, reasoning that there is enough speed in this race with Bracket Buster, and they may even send Hard as Life to keep Praetor and Gosger occupied and create a fairly lively pace, and that would set things up for Bullard. But again, I'm going back to that, I just, history dictates that 1-turn closers just don't translate well into 2 turns. So I'll wait and see. Going to use Bullard, of course. But as a win candidate, I'm not so certain. So I settled on Native Runner. Now, it's a Kenny McPeak coming off Lasix, but This one has run on Lasix before and got a Brisnet figure of 91, which is very close to what Gosger got, but Native Runner did it around 2 turns. And it was a pretty impressive effort. It looked like a horse who was really finding his stride. The way he ran in that race, he just was rating, and all of a sudden he said, damn it, I'm just going to go and take this race over, and he did. Again, don't know how much he beat, but it is good to know that Jose Ortiz is staying in the irons. And at 15 to 1, I think he's got just as good a chance as Praetor and Gosgar or Bullard. And he's done it around 2 turns where they have not. So why not? We're going to take a shot. Do I feel 100% about it? No, but it's a race that if you look at it, you can't be 100% on anybody. You can have a good degree of confidence with Praetor or Gosgar. But can you differentiate one over the other? And I would say the answer is no. So when you have that, what do? You got to look for a price. So there we go. So I'll take Native Runner. This is the kind of race that Kenny McPeak is notorious for winning. And speaking of that, just a note about Hypnus. If it's not an off track, he's been dreadful. If he hasn't had Lasix, he's been dreadful. Despite what Kenny McPeak says, he loves to talk his horses up. Maybe this one can rebound, but I'll let him beat me. His stablemate, Native Runner, I get much better odds at 15 to 1, and I think he's probably got a better chance than Hypnus does to win. So we'll go for the upset with Native Runner in the Lexington. Fourth leg of the late pick 5 is the featured race. It's the Jenny Wiley, a grade 1, 10th race on the card, run at 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf for 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Very well balanced field, I think, and we've got 3 invaders from Europe where we were sort of guessing a little bit, but a couple of them anyway look pretty darn classy. So I think there'll be plenty of pace in this race with Kehoe Beach. Wesley Ward at Keeneland kind of hard to go against, except for the fact that this one is going in stakes company against older stakes company. Has run against older, but not at the stakes level. So that gives me a little bit of pause. I like this horse. I think is always a threat to wire the field. But the problem is that I don't think she's going to get away from Excellent Truth for Chad Brown, who should be right up on her throat latch, as well as Choisia. I believe that's the way to pronounce it. And Be Your Best. So there's plenty of pace. There's plenty of horses to keep her honest and not let her get away. Excellent Truth has some really nice back classes, run against some really good runners over in Europe. The question is, of course, has been running primarily in France and heavy turf. So if there is a hint of rain for Saturday and maybe softens things up, that would certainly help the cause. But we know Chad Brown. He's great with these horses who have been away for a long period of time shipping over, and I'll expect a prime effort from Excellent Truth. Will say this: I did not put her on top only because there is a gap in her work tab, and it's not often you see that with a Chad Brown. So maybe there was a hiccup in the middle there. Obviously not too severe because this horse is back in, but it's enough for me to say that maybe don't get it exactly what we want. Had a good second in the Rothschild in her last race against Marquise de Seven, and so I think this horse certainly has quality and is definitely one of the ones to think about. When I started looking to separate horses in here, what I was looking for is what kind of kick they've got late. And for instance, Poolside with Slim had a career high in her last effort, and is certainly a horse who's been improving, but it looks to be more of a grinder, and I don't think that's the kind of horse who wins a race like this. And 20 to 1 is pretty enticing, but this is a pretty good step up against older, seasoned stakes performers. So I'll let Poolside with Slim go. Vina Rana, kind of the same thing, is really stepping up against older in a stakes race, and we haven't seen her for quite a while. And so the last race closing 7 wide. Any horse who can do that and win is one to watch. But I think I'll wait and see with Vina Arana. So the ones we thought about, I'm going with Jabara, number 6, to win this race. Now there is certainly a question about 2 turns to a degree. This horse is run primarily around no turns because those are all straightaways in Europe, 6, 7 furlongs, even a mile. But what I think the thinking is that you look at the company that she has been keeping, Porta Fortuna, amongst others, is the primary one. Ever since Royal Ascot, and I remember this horse in the Albany Stakes and was pretty well thought of. Running against Porta Fortuna, Pearls and Rubies, Rogue Millennium. This horse has gone. I think what they're doing is they said, we've got to get this horse away from those really classy fillies. And if we brought it to the States with, would be dealing with turns, then you'd be dealing with turf sprints. Well, so the logical thing is bring her to run races around 2 turns. I think generally what I've always found is that when the European trainers bring them over and they haven't been around 2 turns, the chances are that they know that they can get it, so they're not worried about it. So I'm not going to be concerned with that. I think this one has a nice kick, which I like. Again, I think will be probably about mid-pack, just off the leaders, and I'm going to go with Jabara to take this one. Sacred Wish, but God bless her. She brings it every single time, but always seems to be just a hair short. And maybe will prove me wrong in a race like this. I don't know. I did like her last effort. She closed like a freight train in the speed favoring track to just come short. If she can replicate that, seems to bring it every time. Has been going really well. I think is one logically to use. I just can't quite put her on top for a win selection. No Show Sammy Joe hasn't done anything wrong. This horse has been getting progressively better. Really liked what I saw in her last race at 1 mile 3/8, I believe it was. She really closed with a really nice kick and almost made it. Is coming off the bench, but I think is one that is definitely a comer. And at 15-1 is a really nice price. And again, I like the way she finished. That's really what sold me on her. And hey, she's got an outside chance to upset this field. But we're going to go with the Euros. We're going to go with, I think, the classiest of the horses in here. And Jabara and Excellent Truth as a very close second. Last leg of the Pick 5 is a starter allowance for $50,000. 11th race on the card, run at 7 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies. This is not much of a race in my opinion, and it just caps off what I consider to be a pretty disappointing sequence, to say the least. You've got a very short-priced favorite on the morning line in Sherbini, who we'll talk about, but want to get to a couple of other runners. I didn't see much in this field in the way of running. There's quite a few in here who... there are some also eligible, so we'll see. They may spice things up a bit, but what we've got right now, we may get Baytown Butterfly may scratch because she just ran fairly recently. But there's not a lot of pace in this race. And for that reason, given the fact that Sherbini is a closer, I think you really have to strongly look at the ones who are going to get on the lead and be up near it. And Madeline's Promise for Dale Romans. Dale loves speed, so... I think she's assured to be on the lead. This one hasn't been bad. Coming off Lasix in the Devona Dale, she tried to take them all the way and didn't do it. But I think now getting back on Lasix, she didn't run that bad in that race, and it looked to me like perhaps she's improving. So dropping significantly in class without a lot of challenge to the front end, I think Madeline's Promise has a pretty good shot to wire this field. Certainly not going to run at lightning fast fractions because they don't want to set things up for Sherbini. So she just has just as good a chance as anybody to take them all the way. I'd like the price to be a little bit better than 7-2, and perhaps it will if everybody hammers Sherbini. So to me, Madeline's Promise makes a lot of sense. I'm going with Autumn Rhythm, and the reason being more than anything is her last couple of races, she has run in fields where the fractions have been extremely fast, 21 and 45. Nobody else in this field has run at anything close to that, not even Madeline's Promise, and I know she's not going to set them that fast. And Autumn Rhythm is sort of hung in there, hasn't won, but has stuck around. So that tells me if the fractions are more reasonable, running up near the pace, she's got a really good chance to take this one down. Her Brisnet figure, career high of 84, is higher than anything Sherbini's run. And Sherbini doesn't tower over this field. I think you absolutely have to try to beat her here, especially since she's coming off the bench. And to me, Autumn Rhythm looks pretty dangerous for Eddie Keneally, who's already got a win on the card or at the meet so far. And bringing Luis Saez back on this one, where they did win at Keeneland in the maiden last year. So I think there's a lot of things to tell you that Autumn Rhythm is ready to run a big one, and at 8-1, hopefully that'll drift up if everybody hammers Sherbini. I like Autumn Rhythm. Spun Up, of the other runners, I mean, it looks to have halfway decent form, and I think will be a little more forwardly placed. She's been running mostly on turf, but has decent dirt form. And again, I think we'll be up closer to the pace, and at 20-1 offers some good value. And I think is of the other runners is one that you want to think about for the bottom of the exotics. So let's talk about Sherbini, the short price favorite. This one certainly has the back class. She's only eligible for this race because she only has a maiden win. And that puts her eligible for this race, so Mark Cassie's taking advantage of it. She has run against the Queen's MG, Good Cheer, Quiet Side, the best in the filly division, but she's been a suck-up most of the time for third because she's a late runner. Now, she has not run in quite some time. Perhaps, if she improves, she will run up closer to the pace, and that may be the case in this race. She has done it to a degree before, but coming off the bench, maybe a little slow to get going, and I just can't take at that short a price because her numbers really aren't. They're more on a par with Madeline's Promise and Autumn Rhythm. They don't tower over the field. So at that short a price, I think you have to try to beat. So we're going to try to. Those of you who want a single Sherbini, I understand it, and I don't blame you. But to me, there's just no value in what is kind of a dubious short price in this race. So we take a look at our ticket. And I've given you a couple options. One singling Sherbini and one without. The first couple legs, I think we have to spread. So in race 7, leg 1, we're going to go 1, 2, 8, and 10. Leg 2, race 8, we're going to go 2, 5, 8, and 11. Now, in the Lexington, I'm going to use 5, 6, and 7. Bullard will beat me because I just don't like one-turn closers moving to 2 turns. I think there's enough there I'm going to let him beat me. Now, basically what you're left with after that is I think you have to choose between the 6 and the 7, and it's really, to me, pretty difficult to choose between them. I might give a little bit edge to Gosgore because he ran a better Brisnet number in his last race, albeit in a maiden. But the race rating came up the same, and the class rating came up the same for both the 6 and the 7. So I'm toying with the idea of just singling the 5 and going for it because I think that's a race that, it is because you have to choose between 2 short prices. Why not go with a price? So I'm going to go with the 5. It'll be a game time decision, but I'm seriously considering just singling the 5 and going for it. Leg 4, the Jenny Wiley, race 10. We're going to use the 2 Euros, the 2 best Euros, I think, the 1 and the 6. Give a little edge to Jabara. But that little gap in the Chad Brown, the ones tab gives me a little bit of concern, but Excellent Truth certainly has every right to win this race as well. So we'll use both of them. And then finally in leg 5, race 11, we're going to exclude Sherbini, and we're going to use the 2 and the 6. The 2 is my prime choice to win it. So 4 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 2. That's a $96 ticket on a 50-cent base. Now, if you want a single Sherbini, and I don't blame you if you want to, then it's a $96 ticket on a $1 base. So, this is a tough sequence. When we do our full card selections and best bets and all that, we'll definitely have another sequence. Hopefully we can find a better one, because this one to me is a little on the disappointing side, as I've said. So anyway, there it is for your consideration. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. And certainly if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks so much to all of you who have grown our community. Loving the comments. Keep those coming. And some of you have been very kind, and I do want to thank you for the pat on the back. It is a labor of love for me, but it's nice once in a while to somebody to tell you they appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for that. We may have an individual posting on the Lexington. We will certainly have one for the full card at Keeneland with best bets and value plays as well. We will continue on with our Derby Top 20 because we're probably going to have some defections. Starting to hear rumblings about that. And so we will reevaluate accordingly. We're going to start with our individual Derby profiles as well as a primer to our elements of handicapping, form, class, speed, and pace, which we do every year. And we will try to do the same with the Oaks, time permitting. My schedule is going to be kind of tight, but we'll do the best we can with getting that out for you. In any event, plenty of content on the way, so be on the lookout for that. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.